In this video, I will list the top 7 best sleeper cars as well as give some information about them. I'm going to order these 7 cars from oldest to newest. The first car on this list is the 1991 GMC Cyclone. The 1991 GMC Cyclone is the perfect representation of a sleeper car. It was the high-performance version of the GMC Sonoma. No one would ever think that this 90s pickup could hit 60 miles per hour in just 4.6 seconds. This is because it only weighs 3,607 pounds. Some reliable reports, however, have claimed to hit the speed in just 4.3 seconds. It is capable of doing the quarter mile in just 13.6 seconds, though some reliable sources claim that it is able to do it in 13.4 seconds. Not only was this the fastest pickup truck back then, but it still is one of the fastest pickup trucks today. Under the hood of this all-wheel drive beast is a 4.3-liter turbocharged V6. This pickup truck produces a whopping 280 horsepower, 4,400 RPM, and 360 pound-feet of torque at 3,600 RPM. It only came with a 4-speed automatic, which is a bit disappointing. This pickup truck only lasted for the 1991 model year and only 2,995 units were sold. The interior has cheap GM plastic everywhere, which adds to its sleeper car traits. One downside of having a high-performance pickup truck like this, however, is that its payload and towing capacity numbers are not all that high for a pickup truck. It can only tow 2,000 pounds and has a payload capacity of just 500 pounds. Also, this vehicle was not built to go off-roading. It is the perfect impractical high-performance pickup truck. Nonetheless, it still is a pickup truck that could beat out most performance cars at the time and still is relatively fast today. The next vehicle on this list is the 1993 GMC Typhoon. The GMC Typhoon was what started the sport SUV trend. It was based off the GMC Jimmy. This SUV from the 90s looks subtle and very slow due to its aged styling and cheap interior quality, just like the Cyclone. Under the hood, however, it uses the same 4.3-liter turbocharged V6 found in the GMC Cyclone. This enabled the vehicle to hit 60 miles per hour in just 5.3 seconds and do the quarter mile in only 14.1 seconds. The reason as to why the Typhoon hit 60 miles per hour slightly slower than the Cyclone is because it is 215 pounds heavier. This all-wheel drive SUV was faster at 60 miles per hour than some Ferraris and Porsches at the time and still is a pretty good pickup compared to today's standards. The Typhoon was sold alongside the GMC Cyclone and lasted from 1991 to 1993. The Typhoon produces 280 horsepower at 4,400 RPM and 360 pound-feet of torque at 3,600 RPM, just like the Cyclone. It still came with the same sluggish 4-speed automatic, however. Over its 3-year production run, GM only made 4,697 units. Both the Typhoon and the Cyclone are very popular and one of the best sleeper cars today. The third sleeper car on this list is the 1995 Audi RS2 Avant. This was the first RS or racing sport model that Audi ever made. It was a collaboration between Audi and Porsche that brought us this monster. If you look closely, you can see that the side mirrors and rims are straight out of a Porsche 964 Turbo. The long strip tail light, brakes, and suspension were also designed by Porsche. This sleeper car is powered by a 2.2-liter turbocharged V5 engine. It produces 311 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 302 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM. No one would ever expect this wagon to hit 60 miles per hour in just 4.7 seconds and do the quarter mile in just 13.4 seconds. What's even better is that the only transmission that was offered for this car was a 6-speed manual. The RS2 is very light as it only weighs 3,527 pounds. Also, the Quattro all-wheel drive system allows the wagon to have lots of grip upon launch. It is electronically restricted to a top speed of 163 miles per hour and only 2,908 units were sold. The interior of the Audi was unlike any other as you could get carbon fiber and blue Alcantara in the interior. And since it's a wagon, it's got space to store lots of things. The fourth sleeper car on this list is the 2005 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG. On the outside, this car looks like any mid-2000s Mercedes. It was offered as both a sedan and a wagon. Regardless of which body style you got, the same engine was inside of it. A 5.4-liter supercharged dual overhead cam V8 engine. This sleeper car produces 469 horsepower at 6,100 RPM and a monstrous 516 pound-feet of torque at 2,650 to 4,500 RPM. This is enough to power the car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.1 seconds and do the quarter mile in only 12.2 seconds. Best of all, it's rear-wheel drive, which means that it's capable of doing massive burnouts. Sadly though, it doesn't have a manual transmission. A manual transmission along with the big V8 engine and rear-wheel drive would have been nice. Instead of the manual transmission, there's a 5-speed automatic. At least it's shiftable though. On the inside, it looks like any other Mercedes from this era. There's a lot of fake wood everywhere, and there are 5 seats. Little do your passengers know, unless they're into cars, that this car is able to hit 155 miles per hour with the speed limiter on. With it disabled, it can hit about 198.8 miles per hour, which is insane. This is surprising considering the fact that it weighs from 3,990 pounds to 4,087 pounds. The reason why Mercedes did this, however, is because people would want to drive it fast on the Autobahn. Number 5 is the 2009 Cadillac CTSV. This is the fastest sleeper car on the list. Under the hood of this monster is a 6.2-liter supercharged V8 engine. This LSA V8 engine was based off the Corvette C601's LS9 V8 at the time. This sleeper car kicks out an impressive 556 horsepower at 6,100 RPM and 551 pound-feet of torque at 3,800 RPM. This allows the car to hit 60 miles per hour in a whopping 3.9 seconds. It has a very impressive quarter-mile time of 12 seconds flat. It has the same 0 to 60 time as the 2017 Aston Martin V12 Vantage S and the 2008 Audi R8. It's also rear-wheel drive and the curb weight of the car is 4,222 pounds. The 2 transmissions that are available for the super sedan are a 6-speed automatic with paddle shifters or a 6-speed manual. Finally, a rear-wheel drive V8 sleeper car with 3 pedals on this list. The exterior of the CTSV doesn't look flashy or sporty at all. It looks like your typical Cadillac sedan. The interior too looks nothing like a sports car, so anyone who saw it would never think that it's faster than a 2017 Aston Martin V12 Vantage S. Sadly though, this outstanding car is going to be cancelled and will not show up for the 2020 model year. It will be replaced by the Cadillac CT5V. So before you do a drag race with this 5-seat super sedan, think twice. The 6th sleeper car on this list is a 2009 Infiniti FX50. On the outside, this may just look like your ordinary Infiniti SUV, but don't be fooled by its looks, because under the hood, it packs a punch. It has a 5-liter V8 and is the only car with a naturally aspirated engine on this list. It makes a healthy 390 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 360 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM. This is enough to power this 4,575 pound SUV from 0 to 60 in only 4.9 seconds and do the quarter mile in just 13.4 seconds. This, however, comes at a price. The FX50 has very minimal off-road capability, 2 rows of seats, and only 25 cubic feet of cargo space behind the second row. The only transmission that was available for this all-wheel drive sleeper was a 7-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which was very uncommon back then for an SUV. Who would have thought that some late 2000s Infiniti SUV hit 60 miles per hour in less than 5 seconds? The interior materials are extremely good, and putting aside its outstanding performance, was not a bad SUV. Next time you see one of these, you might want to keep some distance away from it. The 7th and last sleeper car on this list is the 2019 Toyota Prius. No, I'm just kidding, it's the 2017 Volvo V60 Polestar. This is the wagon form of the Volvo S60, and the Polestar trim is the highest trim available for this vehicle. This vehicle's engine is probably the most unique engine on this list. It has a turbocharged and supercharged 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine. It is very unusual that Volvo chose to do this. Surprisingly enough, this station wagon makes 362 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 347 pound-feet of torque at 3,100 RPM. What's surprising is that this sleeper, with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, manages to do 0 to 60 in just 4.4 seconds and the quarter mile in just 13 seconds. The curb weight of the station wagon is 3,790 pounds. This all-wheel drive sleeper has an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters. Who would have thought that this wagon could be sporty? Also, it's very surprising that it's not yet cancelled since Americans don't really buy wagons. They mostly buy crossovers. Anyway, the interior of the V60 comes with carbon fiber and Alcantara, but those are the only traits showing that it's sporty. That's the end of my list. If you want to buy some of these cars, they're starting to get expensive. For example, nice GMC Typhoons are selling for $30,000 to $40,000. Nice 2005 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMGs are selling for $20,000 to $30,000. So if you're planning on getting some of these cars, I suggest you do it now.